Council of Ministers, the cabinet,
Mm-hmm.
even the kitchen cabinet,
Mm-hmm.
has really highlighted this dynamic relationship between the council and the president.
Yeah.
We talked about how the president acts on the aid and advice of the council. But what happens when there's a disagreement?
Right.
Does the president always have to follow the council's recommendations?
That's a great question.
Mm.
And it leads us to one of the most intriguing aspects of the Indian political system.
Okay.
Those instances where the president can exercise their own judgment
Okay.
and potentially deviate from the council's advice.
Ooh, this sounds juicy.
It can be.
So the president isn't just a rubber stamp.
No, they're not.
They have some power to push back.
Absolutely. Well, the general principle is that the president acts on the advice of the Council of Ministers.
Right.
The Constitution does provide for certain situations where the president can exercise discretion.
Okay.
For instance, the president can ask the council to reconsider its advice,
Right.
especially if they have concerns about its legality or implications.
Interesting.
This acts as a safeguard, ensuring that decisions are thoroughly deliberated.
So it's a check on the council's power,
It is.
making sure they don't just steamroll through decisions without careful consideration.
Precisely. And there are a few very specific circumstances where the president's role becomes even more critical.
Okay.
For example, when there's a hung parliament,
Right.
a situation where no single party has a clear majority,
Right.
the president has a crucial role in appointing the prime minister.
Right.
They need to assess the political landscape and choose the leader most likely to form a stable government.
Wow. Talk about pressure. That's a huge responsibility.
It is a huge responsibility.
So in those situations, the president's decision can literally shape the future of the nation.
Absolutely. And that's why understanding the nuances of the president's role is so crucial, especially for those aspiring to serve in the Indian civil services.
Yeah.
The president's interactions with the Council of Ministers, the instances where they can exercise discretion, the checks and balances involved, these are all key elements of the Indian political system that you need to grasp.
It's fascinating to see how all these different players interact.
Yes.
How power flows and is balanced within this system.
Yep.
And for our UPSC aspirants out there, this is more than just theoretical knowledge.
It is.
It's about understanding the real-world dynamics that shape governance in India.
Exactly. These aren't just concepts to memorize for an exam.
Right.
They are the living mechanisms that drive decision-making, policy formulation, and ultimately the direction of the nation.
Right. And as informed citizens, understanding these mechanisms
Yes.
empowers us to engage with the political process in a much more meaningful way.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've explored the intricacies of the Council of Ministers, the
Right.
cabinet,
Yes.
and the president's role, and even delved into this somewhat shadowy world of the kitchen cabinet.
Indeed. And through it all, we've seen how the Indian Constitution provides the framework for this complex interplay of power and responsibility.
Yeah, it's truly a fascinating system,
It is.
full of checks and balances designed to ensure both efficiency and accountability.
Absolutely.
But before we wrap up our deep dive,
Yes.
there's one more crucial aspect we need to address.
Okay.
We've talked about the president, the council of ministers, the cabinet.
Right.
But what about the Lok Sabha, the
Ah,
lower house of parliament?
Yes.
What role does it play in this whole setup?
Yes. The Lok Sabha. That's where the real accountability kicks in. Remember that concept of collective responsibility we discussed earlier?
Oh, yeah.
Well, the Lok Sabha is the body that ultimately holds the Council of Ministers accountable.
Right. The Lok Sabha, it's easy to get lost in all the intricacies of the council and the president, but we can't forget about the role of the people's house.
Absolutely. Think of it this way. The Lok Sabha is the voice of the citizens, the ultimate check on the executive branch's power.
So that's what a no-confidence motion is all about.
Exactly.
It's the Lok Sabha's way of saying, we don't trust you to govern anymore.
Exactly. And it's a powerful tool. It ensures that the Council of Ministers remains accountable to the people they represent.
Yeah.
They can't just operate in a vacuum. You know, they need to constantly be aware of public sentiment and maintain the support of the elected representatives in the Lok Sabha.
This whole system of checks and balances is really quite brilliant, isn't it?
It is.
It makes sure that no single entity becomes too powerful, that everyone is accountable to someone else.
It's one of the cornerstones of a functioning democracy. Power is distributed, and there are mechanisms in place to prevent its abuse. And for those of you preparing for the UPSC, understanding this interplay of institutions is crucial.
Right.
You'll be expected to analyze situations, identify potential conflicts, and understand how the different branches of government interact.
It's not just about memorizing names and dates. It's about grasping the core principles that underpin the system.
Precisely, and that's what we've tried to do in this deep dive. We've gone beyond the surface level, explored the nuances, the gray areas, the potential for both efficiency and conflict.
We've peeled back the layers of the onion, so to speak, and revealed the intricate machinery that drives Indian governance.
That's right, from the Council of Ministers and the Cabinet to the President and the Lok Sabha.
Right, each playing a critical role in this grand symphony of democracy.
And just like in an orchestra where each musician contributes to the overall harmony in the Indian political system, each institution plays its part in ensuring a balanced and functional government.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a lot more enlightened about the inner workings of Indian governance.
Good.
And for our UPSC aspirants out there, hopefully this deep dive has provided you with a solid foundation for further exploration.
Remember, this is just the beginning. Keep reading, keep questioning, keep digging deeper.
Yes.
The Indian political system is a fascinating subject.
It really is.
And there's always more to learn.
And who knows, maybe one day some of you listening will be the ones shaping this system, ensuring it remains robust, responsive, and truly representative of the people it serves.
Indeed, the future of Indian democracy lies in the hands of informed and engaged citizens, those who understand its complexities and are committed to upholding its values.
Well said. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the world of India's Council of Ministers.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you found it insightful, engaging, and maybe even a little bit inspiring.
Until next time, keep those minds sharp and those curiosity levels high.
Yes. We'll catch you on our next deep dive into another fascinating facet of the world around us.